Welcome
Live
to
again.
We Are Fabulous Friday, captive audience. Hello, everybody. We've the news is still ticking, and I'll tell you, we're just going to dive right in. Well, before we dive right in, I have to tell you, over here, I don't know what the weather's like over where you're at,
Mhm.
but it is gorgeous, and I have my first crocuses blooming today under the
All right.
yeah, under my trees.
In February. That's pretty awesome.
It is. I mean, February 23rd, and it's on today. I go, oh my gosh, there's yellow little crocus flowers,
Well, it's so
and it's
crazy.
like
It's
60
been,
degrees outside.
yeah, it's been so cold that when it's 58 degrees, you're thinking it's shorts weather. And somebody told me it wasn't even 60, and I thought, no, it's got to be 65 or 70. Pull up my phone, sure enough, it's 58 degrees. But it's beautiful. It's like you said, it's just beautiful.
So, Bobby, I think we're going to have laughs and some eye rolls tonight. So, stay tuned here.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah. It is the news. You guaranteed to get some eye rolls.
exactly. We're not making this up. We're letting you know what's out there, and yeah. So, well, to lead off from PJ Media. We both actually saw this story that there are attacks on churches. The attacks on churches spiked nearly 800% in 6 years as the Democrats vilify Christians. And it is escalating. It's escalating everywhere.
Mhm. And the whole thing, and you can see it too in the language that you're using. Maybe some of you heard this. So here's a couple of terms for you. So I just scribbled some of the ones that I've heard, like Christian nationalism. They start trial running these terms in the media. So you'll see toxic Christianity, Christian nationalism. Here's a funny one for you. Toxic rosaries for the Catholics out there, right? It's just unbelievable what these people are about. At the end of the day, what it is Marxism does not tolerate another religion because Marxism is a religion. And Stalin, Hitler, Mussolini, none of these people tolerated religions, and they killed priests and nuns left and right. And so this attack on churches is nothing new when it comes to Marxists and leftists. This is usually the first thing to follow because anything that argues for truth or for God, that's going to be in trouble because that's a competitor to power. The only thing these people care about is power.
Definitely. And, there's been much more vandalism at churches all across the United States. And in 2023, in this article, the Family Research Council identified 436 incidents, more than double the number from 2022. So things are escalating. This is part of the Democrats. Frankly, it's what they want. They want, this is my opinion, but it's what I've seen because under the Democrats, they want more chaos, and they are. It is trying to change that government is God. They want to remove God from every level. It's been taken out of schools. And there's for decades we have been attacked in the United States. Remove this cross, remove that cross, and no prayer in school and whatnot. And so, as we're seeing much more division in our country, this stands to reason.
Well, they are against morality. And what's the one thing that's Christianity is about? Morality. And they are immoral. They want people to be able to define truth as they see it. And what could be more obvious than this, than the attack on people having to ask themselves what gender they are, for example? So there is no such thing as truth except the truth that you make up. And that's why they hate Christianity.
Yeah, they do. And so it's been in fact, I saw a church, I don't know where it was, I don't remember. But somebody had spray painted, on the what beautiful white marble that was outside. And I'll tell you, there's not, I hate to say it, but there's not much sacred anymore that the left will not vilify.
Well,
And it's just,
remember this began
because
years
of
ago.
because of Roe v. Wade being overturned, transgender, what's going on with the push for that, which,
Mhm.
quite frankly, as an adult, if that's what you want to do, go ahead, but I don't have to subscribe to that.
Mhm.
It's trying to force people that you have to accept and subscribe to this. And you know what? We don't.
But remember when the left used to be about live and let live? Um,
Right.
you
Oh,
could
the
you
hippie
could
flower power, you know?
sure, yeah, you could have your beliefs, I could have my beliefs, and it's all fine. They
Yeah.
have morphed into something not that anymore. It's all about you believe what I believe or you die. And that's what they are 100% about. I mean, think to yourself the
Yeah.
obnoxiousness to be able to break into churches during services and do protests. This is just something that you never would have seen, even in the worst of the 60s. You didn't see that sort of behavior. There's no respect for anything or anyone but themselves. That's Marxism.
Yeah. Sad but true. Sad but true. Um, going along this, it's not really about religion, but kind of along these lines. Well, not really. I guess that's not even along these lines at all. But the next story I want to bring up, I'll put it that way. It's also from PJ Media. Kevin Downey Jr. Put this out yesterday, and it's about women's rights. A New York county is the first one to ban boys from girls' sports. And we hear a lot of negative things about New York, but yet it's not all of New York, just like it's not all of Oregon that's causing that has the issues of what Portland does. It's definitely spreading.
Mhm.
And so, effective immediately, in New York's Nassau County, boys are no longer permitted to play girls' sports.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, and Nassau County is on Long Island and borders the New York City boroughs of Brooklyn and Queens.
Mm.
And they announced that today, and they said their Nassau County is going to protect women and girls' right to compete in sporting events in female leagues without biological males bullying their way onto
Mhm.
the teams. And I'll tell you, it's fabulous.
Mhm. And
There
again,
was,
yeah, go ahead.
go ahead, Don.
I was going to say it, and it's just remarkable. Again, you ask yourself the question: whatever happened to the traditional organizations that used to stand up for women? I haven't heard of the National Organization for Women now in years. It's like they just disappeared. So I guess radical leftism trumps traditional feminism. That must be the case.
Well, I'll tell you, you're absolutely right. Where are they? I'm so proud of the sports, women's teams. And apparently it's really difficult at college level, but because, I was there recently in the news they had talked about the volleyball games. And in one particular game, I believe it was a college game. I'm sorry if I have it wrong, but they had um, three girls were injured with from one transgender playing on there, and they actually ended up forfeited the game because of the injuries. And as this young woman was speaking, who is a college athlete playing volleyball, she says, these transgenders are taking our scholarships away, which is removing opportunities,
Mhm.
and also to go to school, get an education, and play athletics, and have an education through scholarship. And actually, I had not looked at it that way, as far as being then somebody else taking the
Mhm.
opportunity for a scholarship away for higher education.
Well, the traditional fight that old school feminism fought for, so that women could have sports in the first place. The irony of this is this being destroyed by this new wave. I'm not sure what you want to call it. So men are stealing women's sports. It's just incredible, and you got to feel bad for these athletes because they're young. You're in that situation where you'd expect your elders to step up and do the right thing, and they just don't. And the reason is their jobs, their pay, or everything is locked up. And if they want to keep their jobs, then I'm not saying they should have the courage to quit because they should, But that's what's happening. So they'll stand by and let these poor girls get completely run over. And I can't remember who just commented here. I think it was one of you talked about where are the dads, and I don't know. I think a lot of it is just they just don't have the courage to stand in for their daughters, because the reality is if these women just like quit, I'm not playing,
Mhm.
then none of this would happen.
Well, that's
It takes a
right.
lot of
And
courage to do that.
that is happening a little bit more, Dawn.
Mhm.
There was a female boxer and just walked out of the ring because a transgender came in and says, nope, not doing that. That was a title
Yeah,
fight,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and I think more women should walk away and go, sorry, not doing that. You don't have a team,
Mhm.
because if the women walk out, they don't have a team
Yeah,
effort.
and
You know what I
that's
mean?
gonna be the answer to it, and you get to take the hit. The only way that anything progresses is for the courageous few to
Yeah.
step out and do that sort of thing. That's the only way
Yeah.
that change is gonna happen.
Well, as I had, we were talking here at our house, and my mom, I said, they've got to have, if transgenders want to, and you know what, they want to play sports, go play sports, have your own division, compete amongst yourselves. We can have men, women, and others.
Yeah,
And then it's fair for everybody, that men will be playing those that are men, women will, and biological men, and women will play biological women. And if you want to play in something, call yourself something else, you can be the fur people, you know. You can be transgender, you can be transvestite, you can be whatever you want to be,
but
right?
they want to live in a fantasy that is genderless, that all are the same, and they'll actually believe this enough that you got women on the other hand who are bought into this belief crazy enough to get in the ring and fight a man. And in some of
Yeah.
these sports, this is just flat dangerous.
Well, it is. It is. And this one gal, she took such a spike right to the forehead. I'm sure everybody has seen that, because it's been quite a while back, you know, in playing volleyball, because the guy just spiked it. And in fact, something that this gal was talking about on the news program, in men's volleyball, the net, I believe, is 2 feet higher. So here you have now a so-called a man pretending to be a woman
Mhm,
playing women's volleyball, that the net is lower,
mhm. And if
you
you
know?
watch much of volleyball,
Yeah,
it's a different game. I mean, I used
yeah,
to watch both, and one of the reasons I prefer women's volleyball is because you get a lot more rallies because women can't do these monster spikes. With the men, it's bump set and then like 145-mile-an-hour spike that nobody can get to. With
yeah,
women, it's a much more elegant game because they can't put the ball down like that. You put a
yeah.
woman in front of those spikes, you're bound. Not only are you going to get somebody hurt, but it's just a different game. Um, it's just crazy.
Yeah, yeah, it is. So I'll tell you, I'm glad that, hey, great for Nassau County, New York,
Yeah, that's
stepping up
awesome.
to the plate and going, we're not doing this. And hopefully that will give the courage. It has to start somewhere, right?
Like, there's these courageous young women who are stepping up and speaking out. That's happening more too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You know, so just let the others have their own league.
Yeah.
Um, you know, we were talking a little earlier about RFK Jr.'s book and the Wuhan cover up, and why vaccine research is really just bioweapons research.
Mhm.
And that's trying to get censored a lot.
Oh yeah, from what I saw, independent bookstores won't even like put it in their stores. So no question about it. That sort of thing is going to be censored.
It is, and I'm going to put a link into our in our comments here for that. And because, you know, there's a he has RFK Jr. has been an advocate for vaccine education for decades, actually. And so this is, and then having what we've gone through, he's got a lot more information, you know, about it than certainly anything I know. And I think that because the pharmaceutical companies, of course, want to censor him and his book, and so that people cannot get educated about anything. any way to try to shut things down. And so the book explains the causes of the global disaster, which all happened before March 2020, and everything that are in the downstream effects of what the Wuhan cover up exposes. And I think that's probably going to be a pretty good read.
And you got to think to yourself, again, I always go back to this. This is a Kennedy we're talking about here, right? He couldn't even get on. He couldn't even get on a ticket. He can't even be in a primary. When could you think of in the last 50, 60 years that a Kennedy cannot participate in the primary for the president? It's unbelievable. He had, I think, I'm not sure if he's still in his own party, but he had to run independent, I believe. He's still running for president.
He is running, and had to run as an independent because the Democrats were not going to let him be on the Democrat ticket. And it
here's
is
why.
amazing. But, and that's the thing. The Democrat Party is not the Kennedy Democrat. Today's Democrat Party is not the Kennedy's Democrat Party, of yesteryear by any means. But yet not all of the Democrats are radical. I don't believe that that's the majority of their party. And
it's just the ones running it.
Yes.
The levers of power.
Yes.
Clearly that's happened in the last 15 years. Somewhere in there, it changed.
Well, it did. And speaking of medical issues and vaccines, there is a story that I also posted in the comment there, and it's out of Epic Health, like the Epic Times. There's Epic TV, Epic Health, and there's a shingle vaccine, and there's a study that has said that it may increase risk of ocular shingle reoccurrence. And this is a Shingrix, a recombinant zoster shingle vaccine, RSV or Shingrix. And if you've had shingles and you get this, it could you could experience a second event that is triggered by the vaccine because it's looking at it going, oh, I need to send boost the immune system up. And it could actually, and it's high. If it says those who receive the RZV have a 93% higher rate of developing ocular shingles again. That's high. That's like almost guaranteed.
You wonder how are these things getting approved? Well, there's one good thing that came out of all this madness, COVID, this whole vax thing, is the public doesn't trust them anymore. So you would, as a citizen, have to take it upon yourselves, do the research before you let anybody put anything in your body. You just have to, because obviously the medical system the medical system is suspect.
And so, it absolutely. And this study came out of the University of California, San Francisco. Mm-hmm. So, you need to, anytime you're thinking about having a vaccine, do some research. I'm certainly not an anti-vax person, but I think tetanus might be about the only one I would be willing to get anymore.
Well, if there's any good news, it's this. A couple of years ago, an article like that would have never gotten out.
No.
So we are seeing that truth is creeping out as people begin to figure out that we've been lied to a lot.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, we have. So, you guys, were you affected by the outage, the cell phone outage yesterday at all, Don?
Yeah, I only heard. I understand it was like overnight, though, at least around here. So unless you were up at 4 a.m, I think you missed it. But I did read about that and heard about it. Curious, huh?
Yeah, it is. And, and so they're saying, I've got a story here from Epic Times that AT&T saying, no, it wasn't a cyber attack. But yet, and they're saying it just affected, AT&T and Cricket. But yet there were Verizon customers down. There was a city I can't remember the name of the city that says they were under a cyber attack.
I saw there were tons of companies actually.
Okay, there you are. So
Yeah.
do I believe that what AT&T is saying, going, no, 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 it was not a cyber attack. And every time that there is some kind of an outage or something like this, I go, oh, this is a test run.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
then
where my mind goes. I
there
don't
was
know
even a
about you,
report that
Don.
said, yeah, there was a report that said there was that sunspots caused it, like,
Right.
solar flares. The FBI, CIA has something to say about it. It's like, I don't know, right?
Noah
Yeah,
said not likely that the solar flares caused it.
yeah, yeah. I'm kind of guessing that too. Maybe it was maybe Bigfoot got in the way of the sun.
Oh my
Look,
gosh, right?
I think at this point you have to take everything with a healthy dose of skepticism. Have a jaundiced eye. When it comes to the media,
Yeah.
it used to be that the guy that'd be downtown saying the end is near, you thought he was crazy. Now I'm like, that guy, he might have a point. You might have to stop and listen to that guy now.
Right?
He's
This
really
is no
crazy.
kidding.
He doesn't sound too crazy to me anymore.
No.
We
Hey,
got grown men standing in front of cameras telling you that they're a woman, and the reporters are taking them seriously. So the guy downstairs who's drunk and crazy and got a beard down to his knees saying the end is near, hey, he's just as credible as the guy on CNN to me.
boy, no kidding. That's no kidding. Well, listen, there's something the jury today has found Wayne LaPierre, the NRA head, Wayne LaPierre, liable to pay $4.3 million in damages. They found he had misused charitable funds on luxury purchases. And what is interesting about this, he resigned as the head, but he is the vice president. And in this story, they are saying, you know what, the judge might actually make him resign, and it could very well bar him from being holding any leadership office of the NRA. I'm a lifelong NRA member, and I'm happy to say that. But I also know that, not discounting whatever he may or may have not done, New York has been attacking the NRA for years. So much so they wanted to move out of New York, and New York says, no, you can't do that. I don't know if you remember that.
I do. Well, here's the thing you have to ask yourself. So 15 years ago, I saw a report like that on Name Your Public Figure. And I would have thought to myself, yeah, he probably shouldn't have done that. Yeah, he probably did something wrong. We'll wait and see what the trial is. But yeah, that guy probably did something wrong. He's in trouble with the news. Now I see that and I think, yeah, he's probably innocent and they're just attacking him because they don't like him. That's what they've done to the public trust. I think at least half the public sees that. And if they know he's the head of the NRA, if they recognize the name, which I did, I immediately thought, they're just trying to hang him because they disagree with his views, just like they're doing with Trump right now, and pretty much anyone else. And the fact that they're attacking these people think that's an attack on Trump or it's an attack on Wayne, LaPierre. It's really an attack on anybody who they disagree with. And that's the way this should be viewed.
Well, you're right. But then there's another name that we all know about associated with this case. And that is the New York Attorney General, Letitia James. Where have we heard that before? Only Trump's cases in New York. Letitia James. So Letitia James is the one who filed this civil lawsuit against the NRA on August 6th of 2020, and following a Democrat investigation from 2019. So
it's the thought police.
Yes, and NRA, and Wayne may have spent things on. I mean, actually, he pled guilty, and he's going to have to pay money, right? But
even that, when somebody pleads guilty, that doesn't necessarily mean under these rules that they are guilty. No. It may be the best thing to do to save yourself.
Exactly.
Given all the money aligned against you. Not everybody's got Trump's
Hmm.
dollars.
No. So there's going to be some more that's coming out of this. Other NRA executives were originally named in the lawsuit as co-defendants, and but so we'll see what happens with that, if they're going to be going and getting charged with that as well. And he has already, Wayne LaPierre had paid $1 million back. That's why it's $4.3 million, because it was 5.4 million, but he had already paid back $1 million to the NRA.
But when I see these kinds of things now anymore, I think of the courage of people like him. They don't have to put up with this. And they're obviously well off. I'm not saying they're billionaires, right? They're well off enough that they can just walk away from this and live their life. So I see this sort of thing, and I think, wow, what courage. He didn't have to put up with
No,
this.
and the left wants to destroy the NRA, wants to destroy our Second Amendment, and not letting the NRA just move their where the corporation or whatever is filed, and letting them move out of New York. I mean, look, Elon Musk just moved. Was it Tesla, I think,
Hmm.
out of New York, the headquarters, the can't not the headquarters.
Hmm.
He moved the filing of the state that it's going to be in. I don't remember. I think it was Georgia's where he moved it to. Says, okay, I'm
Hmm.
done. I'm out of here. You see what happens in to Trump. I think it was the next day or 2 days later, he changed his filings of his corporation into another state. And many, and when
Yeah.
we talked about that on Wednesday, many are doing it, and this is part of the reason why.
Hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't personally know Wayne LaPierre, and I and like you, I can't necessarily trust what the court has done. And even though this was by jury, but juries also get things wrong. And if they happen to be a lot of people that are not in favor of the NRA or your Second Amendment, I could see that totally happening.
Sure. And I'll tell you another interesting thing, too. This might be a bit of a stretch, but I find this interesting. It kind of ties in with the old 15-minute city concept. One of the things leftists and Marxists always hate is your freedom of movement, because with movement comes ideas. And I'm sure one of the things they can't stand is the federalist nature of this country, which means you can leave state A and go to state B. They'd love to make it so you can't leave, and or make it so there's no states at all, and then they can just control everything. Um, it's interesting.
Well, it is. And right along those lines, that's a good segue to the next topic of this from Epic TV. If anybody saw, oh gosh, Tucker Carlson's interview with Mike Benz talking about censorship. And so I just posted a link, and there is part one and part two on this. This is a link to part one, but in that link is also another link to part two of the West's burgeoning censorship industry, and the government funds are pouring in from DHS to DARPA to National Science Foundation. And so this is to help people. Here's some links to educate yourself on what's going
Hmm.
on. And, it's we need to look at alternative sources like what we're doing, Don, to
Right,
try
right.
to bring some things to
Small,
your attention.
small is beautiful, to quote Milton Friedman, right? Because the smaller things are, the harder it is to get control of it. One of the brilliant strategies of the left is they find those what are the strategic linchpins that hold a society together. And back in the days of the takeover of the Soviet Union, it was the telegraphs and the railroads, and that's exactly what Stalin said. I don't have to control that other stuff. I just got to control the telegraphs and the railroads. In the 1920s, he did that, took over, and the rest is history, as they say. So what are the strategic strongholds now? Well, you got big media, right? You got large companies, you know, you have the school system. You control those three things. Hey, and that's precisely, and the media, that's precisely what we have. So the smaller and the more of those outlets, and the same thing goes for government. The smaller the government is, less power these people can get.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Don, did you have something along those lines, or?
I can't think of. Let's see. I'm just trying to see. Can't, not off the top of my head.
Well, okay, I've got one about there's a new tracking balloon today over Colorado. Another one. And so they say NORAD, the balloon was intercepted by NORAD fighters over Utah. Now, earlier today, I had read it was over Colorado, who determined it was not maneuverable and did not present a threat to national security. I don't know.
Well,
and I can see there's a picture of it, like out of the, I don't know. There's a picture of it looking over the wing of the plane, and it's got solar panels on it. So what does a balloon with solar panels tell you? Well, they said it's not maneuverable, but I don't know. What do you need solar panels for? Communications?
Well, it probably didn't escape from the local fair. It wasn't the carnival.
No, this is no weather balloon. So there we are, and I'm posting a link into that there. This is, so yeah, we've got another balloon on Biden's watch. On Biden's watch, we get balloons.
Yeah, you gotta love it, right? It isn't bad enough that our border is wide open, but now space is wide open apparently also.
Yeah, and this balloon's altitude is varying between 43 and 45,000 feet. It said small balloon, and the FAA. So it's, I'll tell you, it was intercepted over Utah, and they're just letting it go. Continue. It'll continue to track and monitor the balloon.
Well, also have to wonder too, and I'm no expert on aviation. Yeah, but planes generally fly at 30 to 40,000 feet. I would wonder if there'd be a danger to commercial aviation. Again, pure speculation because I don't know. But birds have taken down planes.
Yeah, so let's see. This balloon didn't just arrive today. Did it have anything to do with what happened yesterday to the phones?
Who knows?
We don't know, but they won't tell us either even if it did. I don't believe it. Hey, we're going to move into some Oregon stuff quickly. Is that okay?
All right. Yeah, surely there's nothing controversial happening in Oregon.
Well, I ran across this story, and it's in the Willamette Week. A bill that will increase the pension deficit moves forward despite unknown costs. And, I got this out of Oregon Watchdog. I'm going to post a link here to it. And we are in session. Oh, now that we're getting into Oregon, we're getting into the good eye roll stuff. Oh boy. Well, let me tell you, you might get dizzy because I got a couple doozies here. So, in 2019, they implemented cuts. So here's this headline. It says, bureaucrats have not yet finished implementing wrenching cuts approved in 2019, and now lawmakers are pondering pension increases, some retroactive to 2019. And our whole PERS system is unfunded. It's got such a deficit, and we can't even afford what we have. And here we are. The session has reached its halfway point, the 2024 session. And this bill would increase pension benefits for public employees who do some of Oregon's most physically and mentally challenging tasks, like firefighters and police. And, I'm all for that kind of thing. But not, I'm not just for
It's
let's just help out some, because no, it
it's
won't stop
exorbitant.
there. It's also going
Yeah.
to increase the pensions for other, probably all public employees who are neither fighter fighters nor police.
Yeah, it's exorbitant from everything I've seen before this. I mean, remember who's paying for this? It's people who don't work for the government. And once upon a time, and the thing is, it used to be understood. If you worked for the government, the trade-off was you got paid less because you didn't take the risk of
Mhm.
other people. The likely you're not going to get laid off because a company didn't make money or get merged or anything like that. But what we have now is a system due to these unions, which I have issue with those even being able to be legal, actually. But government unions have created a situation where now you have as much or more pay than people in the private sector without the risk that a private sector employee takes on. Um, it's that is just not sustainable.
No, no, it isn't. And, yet Oregon has record tax revenue stream coming in. And, but still, we have a huge pension deficit, and they're willing to um, increase it. And I'll tell you, anymore, when I'm seeing things like this, I just go, oh, they're buying the union votes.
No, yeah, you shouldn't be able to go work for the government to get rich. You get rich by going to the private sector and taking risk. You go work for the government because it's a service. We've turned that whole thing on its
Right.
head. If you don't believe that, take a look at these politicians. How is it that Maxine Waters represents one of the poorest districts in California, and she's living in a $6 million house that's not even in her district, and she's just one of a few. You look at Pelosi and the rest of these people who are, how are on their salaries? How are they multimillionaires? On the face of it, that should be an automatic investigation.
Definitely.
Automatic. If you were in the military and you were suddenly shown up with a $6 million house, you'd be investigated immediately.
Definitely. And in fact, we have, I have a story. Let me see. There was one. Oh no, it's gone. I had one. Never mind. I had one that was about being able to, there's a bill being to limit the donations. They're looking to doing donation reform to candidates. And who would be the winners of it? The unions, because they have always special rules on who and how much they can donate. The incumbent that's already in office, and those that are able to self fund. If you can self fund your campaign, then you can do what you want. But those that cannot, they're really looking to limit. And I had a link. I'm sorry, I don't know where it went. I must have accidentally closed it. That would, limit campaign finances. And yet there's a lot. In fact, I think that's why Nikki Haley's still in, is the money that she's
Mhm.
got. I mean, she's when you're not in office anymore, I think you get to keep it. Don't know, don't quote me on that, but I think you get to keep it. Oh,
Boy, you really
I
got
was
to
getting
build up that
excited
campaign.
there. I
That's a
was
whole
doing
nother.
my cross of flinging it around.
Who stays in a race when you're going to get slaughtered in your home state?
Yeah.
It's just that's a whole nother one.
Yeah, so another Oregon bill, and this is not a good deal. Now, this was today, and I don't know the outcome of it, but I wanted to bring it to your attention. And so I put a link here. This is from Oregon Catalyst, a 43-page sneaker amendment. Oh, this is the one on campaign finance. Before a hearing on campaign finance. And so there's a huge bill scheduled for a hearing today. It was today at noon scheduled, and it's a giant campaign finance measure. But yet the day before today's hearing, they put in a 43-page amendment to this placeholder bill. HB 4024 is introduced. And this 43 pages radically change Oregon's ability to fund candidates. So I recommend that you look this bill up, see what that is, comment on it. We need comments for bills we support and comments for things that we do not, in opposition, for things that we don't support. And so 4024 prohibits certain candidates from accepting donations to their campaigns from a person that are over $3,300. So right now, I, as Jill Citizen or Sunny Citizen, I can give unlimited funds to anybody running in Oregon as a candidate. You know, if I had unlimited funds to give, I can do that. So this bill would then limit me that I couldn't give more than $3,300. And a PAC, a political action committee, could contribute $5,000. So organizations are now more important than people. And then a politician's political party and the politician's political legislative caucus are also allowed higher limits of 10,000 and 15,000 in certain circumstances. So this is limiting the voice of the people and empowering groups and organizations. So that's a big deal. So here was so check it out. Check out House Bill 4024 and comment on that. Another one. No, that's not one. I had another one that I would like to bring up, and that is House Bill 4015. Now, this is it's relating to battery energy storage systems. And the summary is that House Bill 4015 would allow a developer of a facility. So battery storage is solar farms. You can equate any battery storage to be predominantly solar farm, not exclusive. I suppose I've never seen that they do battery storage at industrial wind sites. I will not call them farms. And actually solar is not even a farm either. They're industrial solar sites. But solar is wanting battery storage. And there's a big project that's coming here into Umatilla County that Representative Bobby Levy's family is tied to. It's called Nolan Hills, and that is being cited when they are industrial wind turbine sites are of a certain size, megawatts, let's say 1,000 megawatts. I don't know. I don't remember the threshold. They are cited, can be, or actually are cited by the Energy Facility Siting Council, EFSEC. The acronym is EFSEC. Now, if they're smaller, then it would be cited by a state, a local governing body, okay, either the county or a city. Well, this bill, House Bill 4015, it would permit a developer. So I'm giving you some backstory because what it says is it permits a developer of a facility or the governing body to ask the regulatory authority, EFSEC, to cite the systems. So no matter what size, we'll have the Energy Facility Siting Council cite it. Well, I will tell you that could sound good, right? But I can tell you that it isn't. It can remove the authority, it would, in fact, of the local government, saying, no, we don't want it. And I can tell you with 100% accuracy that Energy Facility Siting Council has never let a contested case be heard, not once. I know people that have tried to bring contested cases, and not one time has they ever heard a contested case. And they never turn away any energy development whatsoever. They are willing to, I will tell you, site it on prime farm ground.
Hmm.
And it's more important that our local governing bodies have a say and have a sighting of these things coming down the way. And part of the argument that I was reading in this is they're actually not reading in this, but because of my own experience fighting here in Umatilla County against some industrial wind turbine sites that wanted to be sited on prime farm ground. It's unirrigated, doesn't need irrigation, grows highly productive wheat ground, 30-foot deep silt loam. It's beautiful farm ground. And but we had the local right to help curtail that project. Some have even
Hmm.
stopped. Okay. Now I'm not trying to shut down, and don't get me wrong. I think there is a time, place, and manner for some of these things, but I do not think that you should ever just let the developer say, well, we don't need to go to a local governing body. We don't need to ask the
Hmm.
city about this, or we don't need to ask the county about this, the siting of this
Hmm.
project. So I'm going to ask
Yeah.
all of you, I'm going to post a link and all of you to check this out and I recommend opposing this and
Hmm.
put in a comment in. So that's a big deal. And the hearing was actually yesterday. I wasn't able to attend, or was it today? It might have had a hearing today. So there's a link to it. You can submit testimony going to that link. There's a place to submit testimony. But right along with this is another story that a solar developer sent big checks to lawmakers who could clear the way for his clean energy ambitions. And this is a story in the Willamette Week. That's the lobbying, right? Just
Hmm.
go and let these developers pay pay those that get to make the rules is not right, quite
Hmm.
frankly. You know,
Yeah.
it's called
Absolutely.
bribery.
Hmm.
So, and I
Agreed.
think the environmental groups and green energy developers are disagree on how much oversight state law should require on federal lands. Well, you know what? No, the state should
Hmm.
have a say. It's still about local control, and
Hmm.
don't ever let them take away local control. It's important. So I put
Hmm.
links to both of those there.
Okay.
Now I have another one that's kind of interesting before we do our very last one, and that is the Oregon prisons are apparently immune from liability for COVID prioritization. And so the Oregon District Court bought some of the inmates' arguments that having a lower vaccine prioritization than correction officers constituted cruel and unusual punishment. So, and the Ninth Circuit reversed that decision. Crazy, 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 crazy.
Nothing ever surprises you.
No, and the biggest news we've got, I don't know about the biggest, but another big prize is from One American News, OAN. If you've ever heard of them or watched them, One American News is that CBS reporter who uncovered the Hunter laptop scandal was fired.
Yes. Hmm. I caught that.
And
Yeah.
she is, I can't remember her name, and I can't read
It's
it.
Catherine Herridge.
That's it, Catherine Herridge. And CBS
Mm,
did this huge layoff. They fired a whole bunch of people. But
yeah. But not only did they fire her, but they kept her records,
yes,
which they don't do.
no, they have kept all her files and on that story and other stories, and they have been seized by the network. That's like never happened. Never
Uh,
happened. And
well, when you're an arm, when you work for an arm of the Democratic Party, that's the sort of thing that happens. It's outrageous. Again, this if you think you're getting fair and balanced reporting from the media, you got to be kidding yourself. And you look at something like that. Um, Now, maybe the good news is that their viewership is going in the tank so bad that they're having to lay people off. So there's the good news. The bad news, and maybe that's the good news too, is it's exposing just how biased the reporting is. Anybody who wants to do fair and balanced reporting, they fire them and steal their files.
well, that's what happened to Tucker, right?
That's
Basically,
exactly right.
I mean, I don't know if that's exactly what happened, but yet
Mhm,
this is quite a while back. Now, Catherine Herridge
mhm,
broke the story on Hunter's laptop, but we're talking 2 years later or more, right? Actually, we would
yeah,
say going on almost 4 years later that this story
mhm,
broke because it was before the 2020 election and it was censored by the legacy media. And so she did
mhm,
keep her job, but CBS laid off hundreds of workers
mhm.
from their parent firm, Paramount Global.
And maybe the good news is people can go get a job for a real media outlet where they could really do true journalism the way that it used to be done, or the way that it can be or should be done,
Much like
which is
Tucker's
what
doing.
happened to Tucker, yeah, like Tucker Carlson did, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of hey, it's like that old Star Wars line from Obi-Wan Kenobi: "You strike me down, you just make me greater than you could possibly imagine." And I think that's what happens with the evil left. You strike these people down, and they just become stronger.
Well, it is, and people like me, and you too, Don. But I don't want to speak for you. But people like me that I like what Tucker Carlson is bringing forward, the
Mhm.
uncensored version of Tucker Carlson. Um, I like that, and he doesn't have that pressure of what he's going to talk about or not, and the thumb of over him, and he's
Sure.
unfettered. And there you go, Tucker Carlson Network. He says, well, I'll just make a network and here we go. And he's on Twitter
Hey,
and you can
and the
go to his website.
and the more networks there are, the better off we are. The more sources we have, the more opportunity we have to make our own decisions around, what we want to, what we, how we're getting truth. Um,
Absolutely. We're getting a
and
lot more options because
mhm,
of the pedal to the metal censorship that we have all experienced, and the
mhm,
legacy media just trying to force feed, quite frankly, a lot of lies to us all.
yeah, and they've lost control.
Yeah.
The legacy media is literally losing control. At the end of the day, they may be one of the things that saves us all.
Yep. It's okay, everybody. Have a thank you for being with us, and have a super great weekend. I don't know what the weather's going to be like. I haven't looked, but stay tuned. Kevin will be back on Monday. Share the message, and just thanks for being with us. Good
Y'all
night.
take care. Have a great weekend.